Okay. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back into this leadership series. Also, today with me, we have Tom Lawrence, which is going to be our leader and improvement leader. And today, in our series about how a new leader in the new era should look like, we are going to talk about the 4 styles of leadership that we can face in our world. So this is the 3rd episode out of 5. And previously we have seen in the first episode what leadership actually looks like or means in 2026. In the second episode, we have talked about 5 qualities that a great leader should have for being considered great and not good. And today we're going to talk about 4 styles of leadership. I just want to say from the beginning that it's really difficult that you are going to find one person fitting only one of the 4 styles in total. So it's more like that people are mixed up them, like, so they have a few characteristics of one style and at the same time other characteristics of another style, because we are all humans, we are all different, and that's normal. But so after this very quick introduction, I'll leave the word to our leader, Tom. Hello, Tom. How are you today? And thank you for being here today with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really good today. And as I say, I'm not in my usual place today. I'm not in London. I'm in Liverpool, my hometown, as it's Christmas, and everyone's got to be with the family at Christmas. But thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. This is our last live before the Christmas break, because we are going to breathe the holidays after this live, right?
Yeah.
So are we going to start with talking about the leadership, or do you want to have one introduction for yourself or for your work and say people who you are? And
no, we can go into the leadership styles. I mean, do you want me to just make a start?
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
Be my guest.
Yeah. So the 4 styles that we've discussed between ourselves. The first style that we brought up was you've put in as commander, which is more like a directive, decisive, sort of makes decisions on their own. It's all only focused on doing the tasks, getting things done, not focused on people, not putting people first. More like a dictatorship style, which, in my experience, like from when I sort of started my career when I was 16 years old as an apprentice in 1999, that was mainly the style of leadership that I knew, that I was sort of dealt with. My apprentice supervisor was very much a commanding officer, if you want me to use that phrase. He was very much a dictator. It was always do as I say, not as I do, or anything like that. He never listened to any ideas that we had. It was always, if you don't, if you didn't do what he said, you were punished, or you were ridiculed, or you were sort of shouted at like you were in an army base or something like that. And that's not a joke. So that was I had 4 years of that. My first 4 years of being in the world of work was like that.
Okay.
And so that's what I thought leadership was.
I can see that it's a very still a fresh memory in your head.
Oh yeah. Well, I like talking about it because it's good to sort of share these things with people, because if you're talking to someone who's a bit younger, who's going to be going into like a job like I was, like an engineer or something like that, they need to know that that's the wrong style of leadership. You're not supposed to be led like that. You're supposed to be treated well. You're supposed to be treated fairly. You're supposed to be, put first. Focus. People focused. And if you look at the other styles of leadership that we've discussed, so the second one we had was like a coach, which is sort of like development focused, relationship heavy, is the words that you've put, which is basically what leadership is all about. Building relationships is how you build trust with people. Building relationships is how you increase your positive influence with people. And coaching is a good style to do that. And I mean, even and if I just very, very quickly look at the other two, so the next one we had was visionary. So looking at the big picture, being inspiring, looking, being future focused, motivating, innovative. And then the next one was collaborator. So if you look at all four of them, and then with collaborator, we talked about like sort of getting the input from the team. So collaborator and visionary are sort of interlinked, getting team input, getting their ideas, getting their buy-in and things like that, which is what we discussed last week, wasn't it? Or in our last session and the session before. So if you looked at number 2, 3, and 4, as you said at the very beginning, it's not just one style that's going to work. It's going to be all three of them. We leave the fourth one or the first one out, which was the dictator one, and we look at those three. They're the styles that are all going to intertwine with each other and all going to interlink and work together. And that's basically what we've been discussing each week in our sessions, and we'll discuss going forward. So it's having that vision, it's inspiring the ideas from the team, it's gaining their buy-in, building relationships, helping them to develop themselves into leaders as well, so that we can build a team of leaders. Making decisions as a team rather than just making decisions as one person. Not telling people what to do and how to do it. Not being directive and just sort of focusing on the task, but focusing on the people. If you take care of the people, everything else will take care of itself. Is one of my mottos. So I think, as you said at the very beginning, having those three styles sort of working together is how we move forward in 2026. Don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that the first style, the commander, it's what I call like the old-fashioned style. So it's still very common. I would say like 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Probably we are dealing with a commander. For the simple reason that at the end of the day, it's whatever people are used to know, talk about, to think, etc. And at the same time, it's also a quite fast way of having things done. Because you do not have the time for questioning or anything like that. And in this fast-paced world, of course, like you want things done by yesterday. And therefore, like even if people want to change, want to be more approachable, want to listen to their team's feedbacks, anything like that, in reality, many times leaders come back saying like, I really do not have the time for questioning and listening and developing a new leadership style. So there are some reasons where I believe the commander is still the most common one. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most correct, but definitely it's the most common one. The point is that, as you can see, your memories are, if I'm not mistaken, you say like 16 years back in the days, and they
Yeah.
are still so fresh in your mind. I just want to remind everyone that at the end of the day, um, right now, many companies are how can I say, they are fighting against the turnover. So many companies, they have a high turnover because people want to leave, because they are looking for better um, conditions, so better environment, which in 2025 and also in 2026 means that usually people are leaving a company not mainly because of salary issues, but because they want to be treated more as a human, as a people. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to see that they have a value. You, after 16 years, I still remember so freshly all the experience you lived because I remember how you felt. And this is something that leaders must to remember because you are going to lose your people or you're going to keep your people based on how you make them feel. So the commander way, in my idea, is the old style is still so fresh, and is one of those leadership style which brings you to burnout, and therefore makes you people leave. Uh, and I do believe that the other ones, especially like the visionary and the collaborator, are the future leadership style, which I believe that they are kind of mix each others.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just going back to the commander one again, um, like
Mm.
because I sort of experienced that when I was so early in my career, I also experienced it in other areas of my career as well. So I thought that was the way to lead. So when I first started my leadership career, I was leading like that. I was sort of being a commander with people, thinking that was the right way, until I started, working on myself and developing myself in areas of leadership, reading books, watching videos on it, listening to people who knew what they were talking about, and also experiencing leaders who did have different
Mm.
styles of leadership. They did have a coaching
Oh
style, they
yeah.
did have the visionary, they did have collaborator. But as you say, the most common sort of leadership style, even now, is that commander style. And as you say, companies, especially global, huge companies, want things done yesterday. So they think the best way to get that done is to just make the decisions yourself, just tell people what to do, micromanage people, be on people's backs every 5 minutes, and it's not. They're just scared to try these different styles because it's change, and they don't want to change. And it's changing is difficult. It's uncomfortable, but it's the only
Mm.
way to keep improving. And that's what me and you are here for. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? That's why we're doing what we're doing. And it's just you know for us to sort of help companies or help leaders change that style and become more of a way to inspire the people rather than sort of be on top of the people and make them feel bad so that they eventually do leave. I mean, I've done that. I've left companies because of the style of leadership.
Oh
uh,
yeah. Don't
and
tell me.
yeah, and people have left the companies I've been a part of because of our style of leadership. And it's how it works, isn't it? And as you say, it's very old school. And old school is the terminology that we need to think about, because if it's old school, why are we still doing it? We need to be doing something new. We need new school. And those
Yeah.
three leadership styles that we've talked about, especially the visionary and the collaborator, their new school. We need to be bringing them into, into the workplace. And in fact, I think we need to be bringing them into our education system and teaching our children how to lead, and bringing leadership development as part of our school curriculum, which is what I mentioned in the last session as well. But that's not going to take. That's not going to happen anywhere near overnight. That's going to take years and years and
Oh
years.
yeah.
So, but I think it's good to get those ideas out there and talk about them, and hopefully people who are listening to us today can take on those ideas as well and share them with their people, and bring them into their organization, and share them with their leaders, and sort of observe their leaders, see if how they're leading. Are they leading in the sort of commander type way, telling people what to do, making decisions on their own, or are they trying the best to be that visionary, bring in ideas from the teams, bring in new ways of working with the teams, making the teams feel better, improving the culture, stopping that toxic culture, and improving the leadership culture, and making it one where you wake up in the morning and you want to go to work. You can't wait to get there. Whereas at the moment, most people, when they wake up in the morning, don't want to go to work, but because they get paid to, they do. But that's what we need to try and change, in my opinion.
I think that in any case, it's good to know all of the four styles and use them in the moment where you need actually them, because at the end of the day, like you have different situations, you have different pressures, and you have different emergencies, and therefore, like for instance, as I was saying earlier, the commander one is the one that got things done, because you do not allow space for questioning, which means that if I have like an emergency, and I mean, as much as I want to be kind, I just need to be a quick problem solving. Sorry. Or like if for whatever reason there is a peculiar condition and I need to have things done quickly, I need to use the commander leadership. So I wouldn't just cancel it 100%, but at the same time, so I will try to understand pro and cons of every of the leadership style, and I will try to apply them when it's possible. The collaborative way, for instance, it just means that I'm kind of looking for a kind of consensus from my team, and I just want also to look from team input. So what does my team actually think is good in this situation? And I'm gonna listen to the feedback, and based on that, we are just gonna develop the action plan for after. This is what actually means being a collaborative leader. And if I have the time, I just prefer to use this type of leadership. But it's not always applicable. It depends on the situation. So I wouldn't necessarily delete any one of them, but I will try to understand the strength and the weaknesses of every single style, and I will try to apply them.
Yeah, I mean, I was just reading the comments there. Gary Nako, he's mentioned, commander style can yield quick results, and for lasting results, it depends what's the goal. And he's right. I mean, it can. It obviously has worked. Otherwise, the companies that who are still going now wouldn't be where they were. But it's just that, as you say, it's the high turnover of people. Like if you're doing it long term, if you're leading that way for a long period of time, or it's the only way that you know how to lead, after a while, your people are gonna get burnt out. As you said at the very beginning, they're gonna be unhappy, and they're gonna look elsewhere. I mean, that's as I've done it myself. I mean, I've worked in companies where at the very beginning, I was proud to be where I was. I was happy to be where I was. But after a while, it does sort of wear on you, that style of leadership. And but there are times when you might have to use it. Like there might be certain times where a member of the team, is not behaving in the right way or something like that, or and you need to be or they're not putting in the effort that they said they were going to do. They're talking the talk, but they're not walking their own walk. So you need to sort of maybe be a bit like commander style or something. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm not saying delete it, or like get rid of it completely. But what I am saying is bring in those other three a lot more, so that it's your leadership style, your own personal leadership styles is a lot more versatile than just having one. If you know what I mean, you can sort of intertwine all four of them, as you said at the very beginning.
Yeah,
And it's not easy to do, and it's not going to happen. As I said, it's not going to happen overnight. But
this
working on
is
yourself every day is the way to do it.
Yeah, this is definitely something that it's important to mentioning, that wherever is going to be our starting point, these are not the things that can actually change overnight. Sometimes it could take also 1 year or 2 years, because based on where you're starting from, and based when you want to get, if the gap is too big, it just requires like a longer action plan, what I actually call like a action plan. So these are like tailored services based on every company or every leader, and see where they are starting and when they want to end it up, and what is included in the gap. But no matter what, it's always going to be like a long process, because somehow we need to change our mindset. And we need to learn also flexibility, because I believe that was one thing that raised in this conversation is just like we are always experiencing one single type of leaders. So people are just leaders, and they are acting in the same way day after day. But the point is just like every kind of leadership, it just changed based on the situation. So we have said, for instance, like the commander, we have talked about the collaborative way. When does the visionary works? Because the visionary leader doesn't necessarily have a very focus on details, but it jumps from one idea to another one. Like the visionary leadership works very well in the moment when you want to scale. So when you are just trying to experimenting something new. So founders are usually unaware about different types of leadership. And this is actually limiting their team and their delivery. And I mean, we just want to let them know that they can just improve themselves. But yeah, is going to be definitely a longer process, which started from within us. So we always need to be, it's always Tom says, like, we need to be the better version of ourselves day after day. So definitely, like, I believe that our business or our way of being an employee is actually a mirror of who we are, because we spend like 70-80% of our time at the end of the day like working. Therefore, it's normal that the work is gonna affect us. So whatever we are going to reflect it in our final delivery. So the work, in the leadership work, there is first of all a work with inside us, within us. Then there is our work in the company. So you just need to have a look at policies, for instance, and then also on the way different people with different experiences, with different ideas actually can collaborate together. I can see another comment. Hello, Elizabeth, and hello, Justin. Gary said, lasting value depends on its audience in my eyes. So the leadership style could adjust. Yeah, depend on who is my team at the time. Then I have another comment. Transitional leadership is truly hard. It can take a lifetime to get good at it. Fortunately, that's exactly how long we have. Yeah, I agree. Like, it might take a whole life. I think like we are never be over until our life is over. That's my idea.
Leadership is a lifelong journey. It's not something that
But
you'll get perfect at a certain time in life. You'll always have to work on it every single day, no matter. There's no such thing as the perfect leader. Because everybody's different. If you're going to be working with different people, then you're going to have to adjust your leadership style to that person or to those people. So it's you're never going to get. You're always going to have to work on yourself. And when you just mentioned then about working on yourself, you can look at those 4 leadership styles. Because the hardest person you're ever going to lead is yourself. So look at those 4 leadership styles, and do you use those on yourself? Maybe, like, sort of, can you be a collaborator with yourself? Are you bought into your own ideas? Do you
can you
have
be collaborated with yourself? Like
no,
that
like,
your
are you,
action match
no,
your
like, are
idea?
you bought your own ideas? Are you bought into do you buy into your own ideas? Do you like them?
Okay.
After a
Got it.
while, like you might come up with the idea and it might be good like today, but tomorrow, do you still like it? And should you adjust it a little bit? Your vision. Are you happy with your vision for yourself? The future that you want to create for yourself, is that really the future you want to create? Keep working on it every single day, developing it. Being a bit more directive with yourself, being a bit more micromanagement on yourself, maybe sometimes. If you're behind the plan that you've set out for yourself, are you behind that? Do you need to be a bit more hard on yourself? Do you need to be a bit more focused on yourself? Things like that. As I say, the most difficult person you will ever lead in your life is yourself, and that's the same with everybody. So as long as if you can start leading yourself first, and you make yourself the most valuable you can be, that's when you can start leading other people and helping them to be the most valuable they can be. And that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think we are slightly give an introduction about our next topic immediately after Christmas, which is just you could be a great leader only if you actually loves yourself. Because when everything is aligned, so your ideas are aligned with your heart, so mind, heart, and actions are all aligned, actually you are, I mean, you just develop a sort of energy which is really impossible to not to follow if it makes sense. So you just became a great leader only when your mind is aligned with your heart and it's aligned with your action. But this is just a discussion that we are going to have deeply in the next episode. What is important to say, just that at least to me, is leadership is what actually makes the difference in your company reputations, and so it means that also in your business value. Because I have lost account of how many times I talked with people, employee, And there had always been this situation, like especially in construction, where a project can last for X years. People are always like, when you ask, what do you think about that company? Because you work there. And people always say, oh, like I was great in that company until I was working in this project. And then the project comes to an end. So I had been moved into another project in the same company. And I just changed company because I didn't like the new leadership that I was dealing with. So this is so important in explaining that as much as mission and vision in a company are very important, as much as you have one HR department for the company, what actually makes the real difference in your value in the market is your single leadership group. So it's really important that you keep track and you training your leaders. You can't, leadership is something that you can't really improvise, especially not in this new era where people are, people are always more well educated. And even right now with the AI, I think like they are getting even better because it's really quick to just go on any AI and just say, today I lived this situation. What do you think? And if you say like be honest and brutal, you can just see like a different result from whatever you were expecting. And in this way, like people are always I think like they're getting more and more aware about the value, about what they deserve, and about what they actually want in their lives. So you can't get away with that anymore. You really need to take care about your leadership because that is what makes really the difference in your reputation and in your business value at the same time. So if you are well known for a better leadership, you're not attracting new clients, you're not attracting talent people, you're not attracting investors, so you're not attracting anyone at the end of the day. And all of this because of leadership.
Exactly.
So, okay, we are 33 minutes. I can't see any more questions. Do you want to add something or we are going to move into after Christmas?
Yeah, I think we sort of gave a little taster of what our next session is going to be anyway, haven't we? So I think we can move into after Christmas, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me it's fine. So yeah, guys, thank you so much, Tom, for being here and help me out with this very sensible topic, which is leadership. And as I said, like it really makes the difference in your company. If you are a great leader, just to remember that you need to have a clear vision, you need to empower your teams, you need to make decisions as well when it's necessary, because in any case, you are the leader, and you need to have flexibility in adapting with the different frameworks that are going to happen. So thank you so much for everyone that left a comment. Okay, we have a last comment, just write them down right now. Leadership is an alternative of controlship. Tom? Ritik is asking this question. Leadership is an alternative of controlship?
I wouldn't say leadership was an alternative of anything. I think leadership is, controlship. Is controlship a word?
I don't know. I mean, you are the English here one. I think.
Oh no, I'm from Liverpool. I'm from Liverpool. I'm not English.
I don't know if it's a technical word, to make like
I wouldn't say leadership was an alternative, but I do know what he means.
I think it's micromanaging, and it's in
control is like the commander style of leadership, isn't it? Like being on, wanting to make all the decisions, being on top of everybody every 5 minutes, like you say, micromanaging them, being task focused, things like that. So I think leadership is the difference to that, is what you need to sort of improve that. But yeah, I think I understand what
leadership is inspiring, while control is just like no, it's exactly the opposite. Yeah.
And Gary there is saying, thanks very much, Gary. It has been a great session. And leadership is about growing leaders, not just followers. Leaders create leaders. We want our teams to be leaders themselves. So your opinion is definitely, I share your opinion with that, Gary. So thanks for saying that.
Thank you, Gary. And yeah, I mean, so see you in January with our fourth session episode of this mini series about leadership. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today with us, or for watching this video when it's going to be ended. I just want to wish all of you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Have a lovely and resting holiday break, and see you all in January. If you have any comments, just leave comments below this video, or like DM Tom or me directly on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in January. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.